what was supposed to be my suicidal letters. They're now my memoirs on Amazon. I've been through hell, raped, cheated on, lied on by some of my own family, abused by my mother. I even had to cut ties with my grown kids. I've had miscarriages, low self-esteem, so bad I let men do me any type of way because I didn't love myself. I was cutting myself, like self-mutilation. 2 ex-husbands, one of them was on the down low. Took him out. I almost took myself out more than 20 times, including the last one was this year, 2025. I even did 24 years active duty Navy, active duty military. And I lost everything. I lost everything. I retired and I lost everything. Let me tell you, what I gained was greater. I gained peace. I gained freedom. Most of all, God saved my soul. That's all that matters at this point. I'm here to testify to you. Don't judge a book by its cover. You got to keep reading. Just like Nemo was told. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Read my story through my eyes, and you going to feel it. Tears going to fall. Something in you going to shift. You'll know peace is real. Better than money. Better than stuff. Better than anything you chasing or anyone. If God delivered me, he can deliver you too. And if you really want to know, go read my memoirs.
I almost died at 18, but God said, not yet. I'm not done with you. Today, I was just driving and I heard a man sharing his testimony on the radio. It was so interesting because it had to do with he was dying in a flood because he had gotten flooded suddenly and his children's 2 football were like going away, where they were like being taken away in the flood, and the kids started crying, so he wanted to go get the footballs for them and lost his footing and got like fell into the flood, and then the drain pipe was like sucking him in, and he was dragged away to like 100 yards. But in that time frame where he was drowning, he said to God, he's like, God, please save me. But if you don't, that's okay. Just take care of my family. And he was dragged 100 yards, and then the drain like popped him out, like somehow like just pushed him out. And then he was able to grab onto a branch and hold on. He was injured, but he was saved. So he knows that was his testimony, like God had saved him. And after that, he gave his life to God and all this stuff. And it reminded me, it just hit me like, I didn't expect it to hit me like that, but it did. And right then, God reminded me of my story. When I was 18, I was in a car accident that I shouldn't have walked away from at all. Like, I still don't know how. Everything was fine, and I just hit, like, the car locked up, and it started skidding. It hit one car. I hit the divider. It hit the car once again. I spun out of control multiple times, and then the divider stopped the car, but because I hit it. But honestly, I couldn't even. I don't know. All I know that when I was spinning out, I said to God, God, please save me. I said, Our Father who art in heaven. I held on, and I didn't know what the car was going to end up like. I knew that I was out of control and I couldn't control the car. And all I could say was, God, please help me. God. I remember like crying out for him. And when people came to help us, I had gotten out of the car and I started walking across the highway. And I remember someone had already pulled over I just was walking. I was just like in complete shock. And they were like, stop, because honestly, I was going to get hit by a car. Somebody stopped me. I didn't know. They shook me like in the sense of like, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of a highway. Thank God they said that. I could have gotten hit. That was another way that I could have died at the same exact time. And then when they came to help us, the police asked me, like, how did you get out of the car? The door was completely like, I could not have opened it. And they said that the seatbelt was still in, like the seatbelt was still on the car seat. So how did I even get out? And I believe that I got out through the window, but they were like, how did this all happen? Anyway, it was terrifying. Everything went quiet. Like it felt like it was just like when that moment came and I started crying out for God, man. And he did save me, not just physically, but like spiritually. He showed me that he had more for me. That's my story was not over at all, that I had a purpose. Sometimes we forget how far God has brought us. We forget what he's already delivered us from. But he didn't save you for no reason. He didn't rescue me to sit silent. If you're hearing this, maybe it's your reminder too. Maybe God is saying to you, you're still here for a reason. If you ever had a moment where God showed up, drop your testimony. I would love to hear you in the comments. Let's remind each other that we're not here by accident. We're here on an assignment. Follow for more faith-filled encouragement, real stories, purpose-driven content. You never know who needs the reminder next.
God is real, and I want you all to know that. Tonight I had an encounter that it was nothing other than God. Like, I don't even know where to explain. So I was sitting at a coffee shop. I never study there. This is my first time going and studying outside of my apartment. And so I was there studying. I got there at 4. And around 8:15, I decided that I was ready to leave. So I got up, and there was this man sitting next to me, and I kept noticing him. Like, he was doing nothing weird. He was literally just on his phone. And I didn't think anything of it. And I got up to leave, and something in my head just said, you need to pray for him. I've never done that before. So I got up, I proceeded to go out the door, and then I saw a bike. And I don't know how to explain it, just even louder. I heard, you need to go pray for him. And I was like, I've never done that before. Like, what the heck? So I got in my car, and I said out loud, I said, God, I don't know if that was you. But if that was you, please let me know, because I've never done this before. I don't know how to pray for others. I just pray to myself every night and morning. I've never prayed to others or for others. And right then, my fiance texted me, and all he said was yes. That's all he said. And what he was replying to my text was, he asked if I was still studying. And I was like, yeah. And he said, that sucks. And I said, you tell me. And all he said was yes. And this was like 10 minutes later. And so I was like, oh my gosh, God, I've never prayed for anyone. So I called my fiance, and I said, this just happened. And he said, there's no coincidences. That's God. You need to go pray for him. So I got up. I went in there shaking, and I said, excuse me. I said, I don't know you. And I said, I don't know if you're a Christian or what you're doing here, but God told me to pray for you. He said, okay. He said he grew up a different religion. He's only been to church once, and that was 20 years ago. He said, I'm not following Jesus. And I said, okay. I said, I don't know what your circumstances are. I said, I just know God told me to pray for you. And so I prayed for him. And he thanked me, and we got to talking, and I just said, I didn't want to weird you out. And he was like, no, it's not weird. He's like, maybe this is my eye-opener, that I need to get to know God. And I was like, thank you. And we had that conversation, and I left. But I don't think there's coincidences. And I think that we all need to open our eyes to Jesus more and follow him closer. Because I've never felt the need to do it. Sometimes I feel like I'm not even doing enough. So I was like, why would God call me to pray for someone when I'm probably not as close to him as I should be? I'm not like a perfect Christian. But even if you plant this seed in someone, that you're still doing your due diligence as a Christian. And I just think everyone should know that. Gosh, I'm like bawling. I was bawling when I talked to him, and he was like, it's fine. But I don't know if he's ever going to come to God. I told him I was still going to keep praying for him. And if you guys could pray for him too, that would be awesome. But I just think that we need to follow God more and do what he says. Because it's God. Like, I don't know what else to say. But I just wanted to share this little testimony that even if we are afraid to do something, even if God calls us to do something and we don't want to do it, that we still have to do it. Because if I came home, I know I would have been like, dang, I should have prayed for him. I should have went back in there and prayed for him. But I know that I did God right, and I listened to him. He told me what to do, and I listened to him. And now this man knows that Jesus is thinking about him. And I think that's something that we should all go by. But yeah, that's my video. I don't really know what to say. So I'm just gonna end it here.
You guys, I had to pull over. Sorry, I'm a little bit emotional right now. I promise they're happy tears. Try to get through this without crying, because I think it's so annoying when people get on here and cry on the internet, but I just have to give you a testimony that's on my heart right now. I just got an email. Hold on, let me get myself together. All right, I'm good. So I got an email saying that I landed a very substantial brand deal, and it is substantial for a couple reasons. First reason is, if you are just seeing me for the first time right now, I am a trainer first. I do not consider myself an influencer. I do not have PR. I do not have management. I do not have a team. I am a trainer, and any company that is reaching out to me to work with me is just an additional blessing. It's not necessarily part of my business model. The second reason this brand deal is so substantial, and the most important reason, is because for the past year, I have been working on my dream project, bringing my dream business to life. And I have invested a lot of money, time, energy into this new project. And I was working with a company that I put all of my trust in when I shouldn't have, and ended up losing a substantial amount of money. I don't want to say numbers because everybody's view of a lot of money is different. Just know that this was a lot of money for me, okay? They were not going to be able to deliver the quality that I feel like my athletes and my community deserves, period. So even though it broke my heart, literally broke my heart, and I have spent so many nights crying over it and beating myself up about it, but I chalked that up to a loss, okay? And wouldn't you know that the email that I got with this brand deal is the exact amount of money that I lost. I'm telling you, this email came out of nowhere. I did not do any outreach. I have not tagged this brand. I have not tagged this company. And I say all this to remind you that God is making a way when there is no way. Okay, he is speaking your name in rooms that you have not stepped in, and he is opening doors that you have not knocked on. He's gonna make things happen that make no sense. Like, I just can't get over the exact same number. Come on. You can't tell me that's not God. You cannot tell me that's not God. So if you are struggling right now, whatever it may be with, if you're a content creator, an entrepreneur like myself, if you are losing faith in yourself, losing faith in God, I just want to be here to remind you that this test is only being given to you so that you can be in this position right here giving your testimony. And I just thank God, and I'm so grateful. I know that everything is happening for a reason. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should in his divine timing. So yeah, thank you for watching. God's got you. I'm going to go call my mom.
I want to share my testimony of how God did a financial miracle in my life. So around about April and May of this year, I took a huge leap of faith. I decided to end a contract that I had with a client, or that I had with another job role. Now, I was bringing in a good amount of money through this one source, but the workload began to be overwhelming, more than I could bear. I didn't have the capacity to pour both into this role and into my own business. It was overtaking me. I didn't have the adequate staff and support that I needed to really perform well in this role. And the Lord was dealing with me for months about resigning from the position. So I finally did it. And it was so scary because I knew that I could pay certain bills and live a certain lifestyle with my family by this income. I did it anyway. The next 30 to 60 days were so hard for me. I had to make some major financial decisions. I had to cut costs. I had to pay some things off. There was this pruning process that the Lord was taking both me and my husband under. I didn't know how I was going to pay bills for the next month, because one misunderstanding with people who begin to make some money, I think people think on the outside, just assume they have all this money. And yes, their income may be very good, but they also have monthly bills and expenses that cut heavily into that income, especially as a business owner. So I had to make some really difficult decisions about what was absolutely necessary for my business and for my family. And God had both me and my husband in this pruning process. We're still in it now, but the most significant and drastic part of it has passed. So a little while later, I'm praying and I'm saying, Lord, you told me to resign from this position. Where are you going to release these finances so that we can make ends meet month to month, still live a comfortable and prosperous life? It's important to note that I started the videos on financial miracles while I was in this financial crisis. This was real for me. I needed God to do a miracle in my finances. So what I did was I confessed these words every single day. As I'm posting the videos and inviting others to pray and confess with me, I'm speaking this over my life, over my family, over my finances, day after day. Even when it was still hard, even when I didn't know how we were going to get out of this stuck position, I didn't know how God was going to make up for that lost income, I still daily said these confessions. I invited others to do it with me. I prayed and interceded for others while I was in this process. So time went on and a new role opportunity came up where the firm, I'm a lawyer, the firm reached out to me. They wanted me to do some work with them. After a few meetings, after we had to restructure some things to make sure it was a good fit, I decided to accept that opportunity. I remember the guy who helped me get on board, he told me, I don't want you to walk away from your purpose, what God is telling you to do by doing this role. And that was confirmation to me to move forward because they were invested in the plans that God had for my life and for my family. And they were invested in the purpose that God had for me. So since I've been working with them, I have experienced so much abundance. God has restored what we lost. But here's the thing. We had to go through the pruning process. We have to go through the pruning process because God is making us good stewards. God is making sure that everything he's bringing into our life is being sowed into good ground. He's making sure that we're going to be able to sustain the blessings that he has for us. And so I'm so grateful for this new opportunity. It's going to be exponential increase in our life and in our finances. And I'm so grateful for the pruning that we are still going through because it's going to put us in the best position to make the money coming to us multiply. I just want to encourage somebody to, number one, be obedient to what the Lord is telling you. Understand that it's not going to be a cakewalk after that. You're not going to see the light of day yet, but continue to be faithful and obey what he's telling you. Watch how he performs a financial miracle in your life.